So if we're going to talk about number three, right, we need to know the following formula. Remember, to figure out the equation of a tangent line, you need two things. You need the point, which is right here. You have the x and y. You need the slope. And to get the slope, you need the formula that you got from the last section that says the following. All right, and this is f of x minus f of c over x minus c, right? We're all familiar with that, hopefully. So again, to figure out the equation of a tan line, I need a point and I need a slope, which is going to be given to me by this. All right, so I have the point. I don't need to do anything with that. Now I need the slope. So I'm going to have the limit as x goes to 1, right, because that's c right here. Thank you for labeling that. That's very nice. Then I have f of x, which is the square root of x, minus 1 over x minus 1. All right, now my whole goal here is to try to figure out this limit so I can figure out the derivative. Now, if you guys are on video, you can pause it for just a second and try to figure that on your own. You have two options, okay? You can do you can actually factor the denominator, believe it or not, which I think it's easier, or you can do the conjugate, right? But I'm going to show you how to do the bottom one. If you look at it, if I want to factor the denominator, remember, I'm trying to cancel this out at some point. So this turns out that I can factor this as a difference of squares. And if you know how to factor that, raise your hand. What do you think? Sure. One of you two. Sammy, what's up?
Square root of x plus 1 times square root of x minus 1.
Yeah. I mean, I read a little bit backwards than what you did, but that's what it is, right? And think about it. If I multiply this times this, if I FOIL it, I get this. That cancels. All right, so now I have the limit as x goes to 1 of 1 over square root of x plus 1. Now, sometimes this is easier to do. Sometimes it's easier to do the conjugate. Just you'll see what works best. Plug it in. So you have 1 over 1 plus 1, which is 1/2. All right, so the slope of that tangent line is 1/2. Now, the next step is for you to put this into the point slope formula. So we have y minus 1 is equal to 1/2 x minus 1. You with me? Okay. So now what we're going to do, since I need to graph this eventually, right? So if this is all I'm asking you for, that's a perfectly great answer. You may want to get used to using this point slope formula because it's easier to deal with. You don't have to, all you're doing is plugging that stuff in and you're done with it, all right? On an AP exam, sometimes the slope can be really difficult, like 11 over 97. And in that case, you don't want to spend your whole time trying to rationalize or, find a common denominator for stuff like that, okay? But in this case, because I do need to graph it, I'm going to go ahead and solve for y. So step 1 is I'm going to distribute. Step 2 is I'm going to add a 1 to this side, and I'm going to end up with 1/2 x plus 1/2. Okay, so this is the equation that I need. I'm going to graph that. Okay, so now for this, what you're supposed to do, and in pink, I'm going to graph this function right here, the square root of x. So I have this. Oh, man. Okay, so that's the square root of x function. And now I'm only graphing this so you understand what's happening. Now this line right here starts about right there, and you're going up 1 over 2, up 1 over 2, up 1 over 2. The point is that this right here, what you just found, is a line that is tangent only at meaning it's only touching 1. Does that make sense? It's only touching at this one point. That's what a tangent line means. It only touches one point in the curve. This is what that's what you found. Okay? Now, the real reason I really wanted to go over this is because I want to go over to the back. She already wrote an answer. Didn't do it. All right, so technical difficulties. Apologize. All right. So what I really want you to do, because you are going to have a quiz next time I see you, for you guys, that'll be Monday. All right, so look at the board. You have a quiz. Now the quiz is mostly going to be over stuff like this. All right, so if you're watching a video, you can pause it after a few minutes and I'll tell you when. All right, so on this one, you have the graph of f of x and you're trying to circle which one is the graph of the derivative. All right, so I want to give you just like 30 seconds to think about just at least a way to eliminate a couple of answers, which you can. All right, so try to eliminate a couple of answers if you can. And if you're watching a video, you might want to pause and really think about how to do that. Okay, so here's the deal, right? If you're looking at this graph right here, you should know that this is an odd function, right? Remember, you can tell it's an odd function because of the end behavior. One arm is down, one arm is up. And it's positive, so it's odd and positive, okay? I know that the derivative has to be 1 degree less. Now, I'm not really sure what the degree is here, but if it's 1 degree less, well, that's going to be an even function. Does that make sense? So it has to be an even function, so that means that I can eliminate that answer because that's still odd. Okay? The next thing that I know is to notice that this left arm is down and that right arm is up. All right? Now, what does that mean? Is it positive or negative again? It's positive, right? And it has to be a degree even. So it has to be positive and even, which means this is degree even, but this is negative. All right, so your choices are really between those two. You guys in class understand what I'm saying? Okay. So now, if you're watching the video, pause it, and for you guys here in class, try to figure out how you will be able to, in the most simple way possible, try to figure out if it's going to be this graph or that graph. Okay? And again, pause it. And I'm going to go around and answer a question real quick. I'll be right back. No, yeah, that's a good way to do it, but let me show you an easier way. All right, so hopefully you have already watched or you have already tried to do it on your own. So this is what you want to do to be faster, right? Obviously you can take a few points out of here and try to figure out what the slopes are and then try to match that with either one of these two graphs. Because remember, every y-coordinate on the derivative function represents the slope on this one. All right, again, let me say that again. Every y-coordinate on the derivative function represents a slope on the original function. All right, the slope of a tangent line on the original function. Are you with me? So this is how I recommend it. Now, this is not going to work all the time, but it works a lot of the times. Would you agree with me that the slope here, 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 and here is 0? All right, so that means that the y-coordinate on the derivative graph should be right on the x-axis. Right, again, because what's the y-coordinate right here? 0. The y-coordinate right here is 0. And remember, that 0 represents the slope of the tangent line over here. Are you with me? So when you're looking at max and mins, if you look at the max and mins here, they should match up with the x-intercepts on this graph. All right, so let's look at it. This one right here, this 0 slope looks like it's around a little bit less than 2. Excuse me, yeah, less than 2. That sounds weird because it's negative. All right, so this one is matching up very nicely. This one right here, the slope is 0, and it's at about -1. Now look at that. Right, and if you look at this one, this is another slope of 0 up here for the tangent line, and this is around, I don't know, a half or less than that. There's that one. And then finally, this minimum, whose slope of the tangent line is 0, is located around 2. A little bit over 2. So your answer is this one. Do you see what I'm saying? Now, if that was difficult for you, make sure you have watched Notes for 20 and really understand how to do that. Because your whole quiz is not going to be 1 or 2 questions, by the way. Your whole quiz is about that. Matching up the original function to the graph.